Welcome to another video. This is your instructor Admas Kung Fu from supersqa.com. In this video, we're going to talk about why QA is so interesting. I'm going to discuss why I think QA is so cool and why I really like to encourage you to get into it. Okay, so software is a very integral part of our lives now, right? If you think about every aspect of our lives is related to software. The way we cook, the way we drive, the way we do literally everything is related to software. So as we keep going forward, we are going to depend on software more and more and more. I don't see how our dependency on software is going to slow down, which means the field is growing. There are more jobs, right? A lot of people talking about machines taking over our jobs, but all those machines are run by software, which means the job market for software is growing where other things are actually getting smaller, right? So that alone is very interesting to me. It's just growing all the time. So opportunities are going to be there. You're never worried about being able to find a job. Even in the software world, I think finding a job is fairly easy, especially now. And I think it's only going to get busier. And to get into the field of software, right? In the field of software, there's a lot of jobs, so mainly being development. But other than development, there's a lot of different other jobs in the field of software. And I think QA is one of the easiest way to get into the field. Okay, so a bug in a software is a defect. Like the word bug means defect. Any kind of defect is called a bug. You can actually look up where that word came from, but back in the days, there was an actual bug, maybe a cockroach or something like that, in a big computer, right? Back in the days when computers were huge, there was literally a physical bug alive in there, well, maybe dead, but that caused the problem, and that caused the software problem. So they basically named any kind of defect a bug. That's the history, but you look it up. I think it's pretty interesting, right? So having a bug in a software has some major consequences. Right? Think about hospital software that has a bug that's not working the way it's supposed to work. Think about weapons, right? A lot of weapons these days are pretty much software. And imagine having a bug there. Imagine having a bug in a spaceship, in a rocket. Imagine having a bug in cars, right? These days we're starting to see self-driving cars. This is becoming real, right? It's basically the cars driving using software. Imagine a bug in there. Imagine the software functioning not the way it's supposed to function. So it's very serious, right? So it is very important to maintain quality of a product. It's so much cheaper to invest finding the bugs before they actually released than to actually deal with the consequence, right? So companies do invest a significant amount of resources on finding bugs and on quality. So that itself is pretty much what makes this field so interesting. It's just very secure field. So I dedicated an entire slide for this statement. It's the easiest way to get into a field of software. Obviously, this is my opinion, but I feel very strongly about it. If you want to become a developer, right, you need to learn how to code, but in a more hardcore way. If you want to be a QA, you definitely, well, there's manual QA and automation QA we're going to discuss soon, but you do need to know a little bit of coding. At least for automation, you need to know more coding than for manual. But when you compare to like a full-time developer, how much knowledge you need to become a developer and how much knowledge you need to become a QA, it's a lot less, right? You still need to know how to code, but it's a lot less hardcore than development. So you can get in as a QA and work your way into becoming a developer or all kinds of other fields within the QA, within the software organization. Okay, so this slide here is to illustrate what kind of people you actually work with, right? This is personal. This is my personal experience, and I see all the QAs around me. So here, let's start from here. You talk to product managers all the time, right? So let's say you're working for Facebook.com and you're working for the login page. Let's say that's very simple, right? So there's a product manager that actually comes up with all the requirements and knows about what the product should do, what it should look like and such. So you're dealing with that person. And then you deal with the designers, because the product manager and the designer communicate a lot. And then you're testing it, you want to verify things, you deal with the designer. DevOps, right? DevOps are engineers that deal with infrastructure, usually the infrastructure, like how the software is being released, how it's run, or the servers, or the cloud, like anything that has to do with the cloud. DevOps are the ones that work with it. You interact with them a lot, okay? You interact with other QAs, obviously, right? You interact with developers. Actually, the most interaction will be developers, because whatever developers build or whatever changes they make, you test it. So the interaction between developers and QA is very, very frequent. Engineering managers, right? Engineering managers will manage developers, usually QAs and ops, and you interact with them. So you are like the person in the middle that is interacting with everybody. For example, DevOps doesn't interact very much with product manager or with designers, right? But the QA is the one that is interacting with everybody. So you are exposed to so many different types of people, so many different types of careers. And so you have a lot of knowledge, and eventually if you want to switch over to a different path, you can definitely do that. If you want to be a developer, you can go to development. You are technically a software engineer. I mean, even the title is software engineer, but if you want to actually build the product instead of testing it, you can go there. If you want to go the opposite direction, you can go there. Even product manager, designer. I actually have a colleague, a friend, a really cool person. I'm the one who hired her as an intern, right? And she did QA for about 6 months or so, and she made friends in the design team, and now she's a designer. But naturally, she's an artistic person, and she liked what they do, and she completely switched. So designer is not a very technical, right? Like, they don't write code. They have their own software they use to design things, but they're very artistic, like colors and designs and human behaviors and all of that they know. So she completely switched to a designer, and she's a very happy person. She have a really happy career, and her career is growing. So that opportunity was opened for her because she was a QA, and it was easy to get in as a QA. So I think that's a very good reason to consider the QA career, because you're not limited to being a QA. You're not going to be a QA forever unless you want to, like me, right? I love writing code, so I have an option of being a developer, building the software, or testing the software, and I'm really enjoying QA, so I'm really staying and building tools for QA. So more benefits. This is just things I consider are really cool about QA. You can make a side income as in programming, right? You know how to code, so there are a lot of other avenues you can make money by coding. You can simplify your own life. Like, there are things in your life that you can use coding to, right? In my life, the simplest example I can use is like in day trading. So I trade the stock market, right? And every day I have to analyze my trades, and I have to copy those into an Excel sheet. So I wrote this very simple Python code that will take all my trading, all my activity from my, let me call it the broker, let me call it a bank, so it's easier to understand. So my script will get all my activity and puts it into a spreadsheet so I can analyze it. So that has nothing to do with programming or a job, but it makes my life so much simpler. It takes maybe like a minute to run the script and get this whole thing. If I was to do it manually, it probably takes about an hour or two. Okay. Another thing is, if you know coding, if you know what QA is, if you know what programming is, you can actually help your kids, your family, your colleagues. You can actually help them be interested. You can actually help them solve problems. So I think that's a benefit, especially for people with kids. I think having a knowledge of programming would actually, help you, make it easier for you to encourage the kids, right? And it's, like I say, it's unlimited potential for career growth. Like, you really never know where the career is going to take you. So I think those are pretty cool benefits. And more benefits is a very chill work environment. Like, it's not stressful. Obviously, any work can get stressful, but for the most part, it's very relaxed and very good work-life balance. So I think that's a huge benefit. You can work remotely for the most part. That's a huge benefit. And like I said, the demand is there. I don't think you're ever worried about finding a job, assuming you develop the skills, right? You have to know, you have to have skills, but the job market is open. It's amazing how many these random emails I get from LinkedIn people for jobs. I mean, I know everybody gets those, but it just shows that the market is really hot. Okay, so what we discussed here is what I think is QA is so interested. I'm pretty sure you are pretty interested by now, and let's keep going and learn more about it before you actually start learning.